You are 7 years old. Your mother is not crying. She is not allowed to. Today, men you have never met are taking you from your home, not to punish you, to train you, because in Sparta, you do not belong to your family. You belong to the state. This is the Agoge. The word means raising or leading. It is the most brutal education system the ancient world ever built. And if you think modern school is hard, you would not survive a single week here. Sparta sits in the valley of Laconia, in the southern Peloponnese of Greece, around the 6th century BCE. It is not a city of marble temples and painted pottery like Athens. It has almost no walls. Spartans believed their soldiers were their walls. Every institution here exists for one purpose: to produce the deadliest infantry soldiers on earth. You are handed over to a paidonomos, a state-appointed supervisor of boys. He inspects you like livestock. Are you strong? Are you healthy? Do you show fear? The historian Plutarch, writing centuries later, claimed that weak infants were left exposed on a hillside called Mount Taygetus to die. Modern archaeologists have actually excavated that site. They found no infant bones at all, just the remains of adult men, likely criminals or war captives. So the story of babies thrown off a cliff may be more myth than fact. But the message Sparta wanted the world to believe was clear. Only the strong get to exist here. From age 7, you live in a herd called an agel. You sleep on reeds you pull from the riverbank yourself with your bare hands. No knife allowed. If the reeds have sharp edges, that is your problem. You eat black broth, melas zomos, a soup made of pork, blood, salt, and vinegar. So foul that a visitor from Sybaris once said he finally understood why Spartans were not afraid to die. Your instructors do not just allow fighting between boys. They encourage it. Disputes are settled with fists in front of everyone. Bullying is not bullying here. It is curriculum. You get one cloak, one, for the entire year. Summer sun or winter frost, it does not matter. The ancient historian Xenophon, who actually lived among Spartans and wrote directly about their customs, described exactly this system of minimal clothing and enforced hunger. Xenophon was not a hostile outsider mocking Sparta. He admired it, and he still described a childhood most modern parents would call abuse. Food rations are deliberately kept too small. Why? Because hunger teaches you to steal. And stealing food is not punished here if you are not caught. Getting caught is the crime. There is a famous story, whether legend or history, no one is fully certain, of a boy who stole a fox and hid it under his cloak. Rather than be discovered as a thief, he let the fox tear into his stomach in silence. He died without making a sound. True event or moral fable invented later to terrify children into obedience. We may never know, but it tells you exactly what Spartan society valued above almost everything else: enduring pain without complaint. Around age 12, life gets harder, if that seems possible. You now train barefoot, year-round. You're taught to dance in armor, to sing war hymns in unison, to march in formation until your steps become instinct rather than thought. Discipline is not optional. It is identity. Then, sometime in your late teens, comes the cryptia. This is one of the darkest and most debated parts of Spartan society. Ancient sources describe young Spartan men sent out alone into the countryside, armed only with a knife, with orders to survive off the land, and according to Plutarch and the historian Thucydides, to kill any helot they judged dangerous. Helots were the enslaved population of Messenia, conquered generations earlier, forced to farm land for their Spartan masters. Sparta's entire economy depended on their forced labor, and Sparta's entire military system depended on keeping them terrified into submission. Modern historians like Paul Cartledge, one of the leading scholars on ancient Sparta today, argue the crypteia functioned less like coming-of-age hazing and more like state-sanctioned terror, designed to prevent helot uprisings before they could begin. Should we admire Spartan discipline or recognize that it was built entirely on the backs of an enslaved majority who vastly outnumbered their masters? Historians still argue about this today. If you make it through the Agoge, and many did not, you become a full Spartan citizen, a Spartiate, around age 30. Only then are you finally allowed to live with your own family. Even then, you eat most meals not at home, but at a communal mess hall called a syssidia. alongside 14 other soldiers who are now closer to you than blood. A day in your adult life as a Spartan soldier begins before sunrise. There is no snooze button, no gentle wake-up. You rise in darkness, dress in your red tunic, the color chosen deliberately so bloodstains would not show and frighten your fellow soldiers, and you drill. Spear work, shield formation. The phalanx, a wall of overlapping shields called hoplons that only functions if every single man trusts the man beside him completely. You train not for glory, but for something colder and more practical, survival through unity. A Spartan soldier was taught that his shield protected not himself, but the man to his left. Drop your shield, and you doom your entire line. This is why Spartan mothers, according to Plutarch, told their sons to come back with your shield or on it, meaning win or die. Retreat and lose your shield was the deepest shame imaginable. Midday brings brief rest, more communal meals of that same grim black broth, and mandatory choral singing. War songs meant to bond soldiers into something closer to brothers than comrades. Then more drilling, wrestling, combat mixed so thoroughly with education that Spartans never separated the two ideas. Archaeological excavations at the actual site of ancient Sparta, led by the British School at Athens over the past century, have uncovered the remains of a sanctuary to Artemis Orthia, where young Spartan boys underwent brutal ritual whippings as a test of endurance, sometimes to the point of death, watched by crowds who cheered not for cruelty's sake, but because silent endurance under pain was considered the highest form of Spartan virtue. Night falls. You do not collapse into a soft bed. You sleep on the same simple reed mat you built as a child, still surrounded by the same brothers in arms who share your mess hall, your training, and possibly, one day, your final battlefield. Here is the twist most people never learn. Sparta's legendary military dominance did not last forever. By the 4th century BCE, decades of constant warfare and a shrinking population of full Spartan citizens left Sparta unable to field the massive armies it once commanded. At the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BCE, Sparta suffered a defeat so devastating it never fully recovered its former power. The very system built to create indestructible soldiers eventually could not produce soldiers fast enough to replace the ones it lost. So was Sparta strength, or was it a slow-motion tragedy disguised as strength? You live now in a world without the Agoge, without black broth, without mandatory combat training at age 7. But look closer at your own life. Do you push through pain at the gym because giving up feels like weakness? Do you value discipline, teamwork, sacrifice for the group over the individual? Modern military training, elite sports culture, even phrases like no pain, no gain, carry a distant echo of what Spartan society perfected 2,500 years ago. You were 7 years old. Your mother was not allowed to cry. Now you understand exactly why.